What's up? Welcome back to the Moto Mystic, reminding you that every ride is a meditation. But today's something a little different. My predictions for the upcoming 2025 MotoGP season. Hope you enjoy. I'm a former professional motorsports official, race controller, steward for bikes, cars, karts, former go-karting champion as well. And I have a history of making pretty decent predictions when it comes to motorsports. I've picked out little kids in like Micromax and Minimax karting classes and predicted that they go on to be like IndyCar and F1 drivers. So hey, take it for what it's worth. I'm still just a motorsport fan at the end of the day. I like riding bikes in my spare time and don't do too much karting anymore. But anyway, hey, let's get into it. So look, often if we look back in history at MotoGP and F1 and all the top tiers of motorsports, we often find that certain moves from one team to another don't always equate to the successes that those riders or drivers are initially hoping. And sometimes it just takes a little time. Look at Fernando Alonso in Formula One, man. He has a bad habit of making the wrong moves outside of the car. One of the greatest drivers of all time, tacticians. I mean, nobody can beat his race starts and his first lap charges through the field. Easily could have more than 2 championships to his name if he had been in the right place at the right time. But he's not that kind of guy for whatever reason. Lewis Hamilton, on the other hand, seems to have been ahead of the curve. You know, we look at the last decade or more, and when he moved to Mercedes, everybody raised an eyebrow, like, man, what the hell is he doing? You know, and it was kind of rough for the first 2 seasons, but he saw something that we didn't. And that shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody that a driver who's negotiating on his own behalf has information that we as fans don't about operations in the near future and how things are going to unfold. And it turned out it was the perfect move because he ended up winning several world championships with Mercedes, and his former team, McLaren, kind of went down the shitter for a while. The big question is that going to happen to Marc Marquez? He went from a Ducati customer team to the Ducati factory team. And while we have seen testing and the first practice session at the Thai GP already, no, the same thing is not happening. I think he made the right move. It looks like the customer teams have closed the gap to the factory Ducati team a little bit in terms of performance, at least to start the season. But I think that like moving is going to give him that extra small nudge to put him on another level, and he's already on another level as a driver. I just don't see anybody getting close to him in the points in terms of consistency. I think he's going to have enough of an edge from a performance standpoint on the bike to let his raw talent do its thing and speak for itself. And I don't think anybody's getting close to him in points this season. I've been really impressed with Bagnaia the last few seasons. I think like he's been the best rider motorcycle combination that we've seen in recent years, but I think that gap in raw talent and ability is going to be shown this year, and maybe we're going to find out Bagnaia is not exactly the guy we thought he was, especially now with Jorge Martin also looking like he's going to be out for most of the season, if not the whole season, with his injury. Man, massive bummer. He has a lot of raw talent as well, arguably maybe a little bit more than Bagnaia. So weirdly enough, I actually think that more edgy style of racing that Martin exudes is not going to play to his advantage on his comeback to MotoGP. I'm seeing kind of a Felipe Massa situation where Martin, championship-ish level rider when he's in the right place at the right time, which he was last year, has a big injury, comes back, maybe doesn't have that same edge to him and isn't quite as competitive. Not that he's going to be playing second fiddle to anybody, but man, it was shaping up to be an exciting season, because I think his move to Aprilia was actually a really smart move. And speaking of that, Bezzecchi has kind of been waiting for that moment, I think. And I think Bezzecchi is going to be a breakthrough rider this season. He is kind of in the right place at the right time. The Aprilia is looking really strong based on what we've seen in testing, and a lot of expert predictions for this season and technical analyses. And Bezzecchi's going to, I think, rise to the occasion. I think Quartararo is going to potentially have like kind of a comeback season. The Yamaha has been looking a lot stronger, in testing so far than it did, the last few seasons. It's just been garbage, and it's kind of from like a street rider standpoint, it's kind of been a bummer to see Yamaha on the back foot and any of the inline fours to be on the back foot, given what's going on in road bike, super bike, customer world right now, how they're trying to phase out the R1 and everything, and I don't know, I feel like some of that super bike racing heritage, hopefully the emissions laws don't totally fuck us, when it comes to the bikes that are available in the market for us to buy. I'm going to shoot these dogs next door, and that's just the way it is. I think when Martin comes back, whenever that is, not only is he going to, be on the back foot regarding somebody like Marc Marquez on a bike like the factory Ducati, and, and then Bezzecchi is going to have his foot through the door as far as sedimenting his place at Aprilia, and Martin's going to be playing catch up, physically and mentally. And I don't know, I just kind of see a Felipe Massa thing going on where, again, he's not going to be playing second fiddle to Bezzecchi or whatever team he comes back with. I don't know if he's going to see out his contract, but since he does have that edgy style of racing, an incident like this can spook you, Hopefully he's strong enough mentally to overcome it, man. He's a MotoGP rider. Hopefully he comes back with the same fearless attitude, because that's what we love the sport for, and it's super badass, and it's one of the things that sets those guys apart from us, So I hope he comes back in a competitive fashion, but I don't know. I think Alex Marquez is going to have a good season. Like I said, the Ducati customer teams have kind of closed that gap a bit. It doesn't look like the brand new 2025 bikes are really all that much faster than the 2024 bikes. And being that the customer teams are getting the 2024 bikes, there could be some good racing and not that big of a gap between the front runners and the midfield. Front runners apart from Marc Marquez, by the way. I think he's going to be way out ahead of everybody, and everybody else is just going to be racing for second. But I think we're going to see a lot of different podium finishers this season. Pedro Acosta, I think he's going to continue to impress, but because the gap in bike performance is closing a bit, Quartararo, Bezzecchi, Morbidelli, Seeking Vengeance, Pedro Acosta is going to have maybe even a little bit more competition battling for that final podium position than he has in the last couple seasons, and that's a good thing for the sport. We want tight battles in the midfield and up as far to the front of the grid as we can get. And I hope that is the same for F1 as well this season, although they've fallen victim to the Liberty Media bandwagon more so than MotoGP has. I think there's really only so much that they're going to be able to do to market MotoGP in the way that they market F1. You know what I mean? F1 by its own nature has a little bit more marketability to people who don't understand motorsports. And I think there are people in the pit lane who are able to turn the dials to alter the results a little bit more so actually a lot more so in F1 when you're dealing with four-wheeled vehicles than is possible on a two-wheeled vehicle. You can't fake the skill that some of these guys have. It's also why I like the Isle of Man TT as well. Here are my thoughts on the upcoming MotoGP season and a little bit about where the sport's at. And I think it's going to be a really good season, and I hope you guys tune in and enjoy it as well. Let me know if you want more updates throughout the season. I'm down to do that. Let me know if that's something you're interested in, and catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.